Meeting of the board of May 3 to order, and welcome members of the management team to Superintendent Eberwin, Secretary Treasurer Reed, Assistant Superintendent McKenzie, Director of Instruction Hunter, and online Director of Instruction West Haver. I welcome any partners who may be with us. I see Mr. Buckham and Mr. Russell from the Saanich Administrators Association. We are expecting, welcome, both of you. We are expecting Ms. Welsh for QP 441 and Mr. Peterson for the Saanich Teachers Association, but they aren't with us yet, and I'll be sure to greet them when and if they do appear. I also wish to acknowledge, of course, on behalf of us all, that we're meeting this evening on the traditional territory of the Saanich people, who have lived, learned, and worked and acted as stewards of these lands since time immemorial, and that we offer this acknowledgement as a gesture of respect and in an effort to effect reconciliation. Let's move, trustees, to item 2, the adoption of the agenda. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda? Please, Trustee Vandal, second by Trustee Hickman. Are there any errors or omissions? Not errors or omissions. There may be some omissions, but we'll fill them in. Are there any revisions or additions to the agenda? Trustee McMurphy.
Yes, I'm looking for a vice chair. I think that there's some sensitivity around item 3, the Parkland track. I didn't know if you wanted to have any discussion in public. I'm prepared to move a motion to go in committee.
Go in camera? I think that's wise. Is there a seconder for that? Let's place that, Trustee McMurphy, after the present number 4, after the present number 3, where we're dealing with the public portion of the meeting on the Parkland track. Is there any discussion on that motion? All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. It's carried. The seconder is Trustee Hickman. And so, trustees, that will be added to the agenda as a new number 4, which will make an adjournment number 5. Are there any other proposed additions or revisions to the agenda? All in favor of the agenda with that addition? Opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you. And the agenda is adopted as amended. Moving then to item 3 and the Parkland track, and I'll invite you, Secretary Treasurer Reed, to introduce this topic.
Thank you, Chair. So the purpose of this item is to seek direction from the board on next steps with respect to the Parkland track. As you know, in October, the board provided direction that the Secretary Treasurer approached Sydney and North Saanich to discuss funding the immediate completion of the track and also sharing in the cost of funding future renewal of the track service. And conditions for replacement of the track that has been the foundation of direction provided by the board to date has been twofold. It has been that the full cost of the replacement of the track is funded, including the board's contribution initially, and also that there is a commitment from local municipalities and potentially other partners to share in the cost of the track renewal. So I've summarized the recent meetings that have occurred at the town of Sydney and more recently at the district of North Saanich. We met with the town of Sydney in January, and we heard in March that the proposal was approved, both the capital funding and the renewal funding. The commitment to contribute to a renewal fund for the track was also approved by the town of Sydney. However, Sydney it does not wish to bind future councils to this renewal contribution through entering into a long-term agreement, but they have committed that it will be an ongoing budget allocation However, future councils could change that at any time. On April 3rd, again, Roseanne Chicano and I met with the District of North Saanich and made a similar presentation to the District of North Saanich. And on April 3rd, Council deferred the decision to April 24th. And then last week, on April 24th, Council approved making the capital contribution of $83,000 and to enter into a dialogue with the Town of Sydney and School District 63 regarding ongoing cost sharing options. And so because the direction with respect to proceeding with the track has been conditional on this capital commitment and also this commitment to ongoing sharing of renewal costs. I feel that it's necessary to seek direction from the board. I wouldn't feel comfortable proceeding without new direction from the board because the commitment for ongoing renewal funding does vary a little bit from that condition and expectation that we've been talking about all along. In summary, the Town of Sydney has committed to including in their budget a commitment to sharing in the costs, but they don't wish to bind future councils in a long-term agreement. And at this time, North Saanich has not committed to contributing to renewal funding, but they've committed to entering into a dialogue to discuss how renewal will be funded in the future. So despite that, my recommendation is for the board to proceed with engaging a contractor to complete phase 2 of the project, because any further delay will risk completion not occurring during the summer of 2023. Because if there is a defined weather window where this work can be done, and if it goes too far into the fall, we're basically into the summer of 2024. So the staff recommendation is that staff be directed to engage the contractor to complete phase 2 of the Parkland track replacement project.
Trustees, I think it might be helpful if there is a trustee prepared to move that recommendation, and then once it's on the floor, we can enter into it. Trustee Silzer, I think you had your hand up first. So your motion would be that staff be directed to engage the contractor to complete phase 2 of the Parkland track replacement project. And Trustee Elder, you second that. Do you wish to speak to it, Trustee Silzer? Trustee Elder? Anybody? Trustee Hickey?
With regards to ongoing maintenance, once this rubberized surface is put on, when would we expect what would be sort of the timeline before a round of maintenance would be needed on the track?
Through the chair. So the annual, the more annual maintenance of the track, the cleaning of the surface, etc., is something that will be incorporated into the operating budget of the school district. The sharing in the funding of renewal costs is really for the entire replacement of the rubberized track surface. The rubberized track surface has a service life of between 15 and 20 years. And at this stage, it's costing. It costs around $220,000, so it isn't insignificant. And so the contributions to that renewal fund would basically build up that fund so that there are funds in place when that track surface does need to be replaced 15, 20 years from now.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Is there any further discussion? Trustee
I have
Elder?
a question. Thank you, Chair. Is ongoing maintenance covered within our existing maintenance budget? That's truly only for renewal, the 20,000.
Yeah, that's right.
Trustee Banner?
Through the chair, will the if it's rubberized, will it last longer?
Through the chair, the asphalt surface that we have now will hopefully last for many decades to come. The rubberized surface will not last as long as an asphalt surface because it does wear down with use and over time. And so the service life of the rubberized surface is 15 to 20 years. And so the building the renewal fund to replace the rubberized surface 15 to 20 years from now reflects our expectation that the asphalt surface underneath will be fine, and we expect it will be.
Is there any further discussion, comment, question, trustees? Trustee Elder.
One more question, thank you, Chair. The president of the Traditional Track Club, the Track Field Club, spoke to the benefit of, at the North Sandwich Council meeting that Mr. Reed and Mr. Cano attended, to the benefit to the track and field, the track community, not having to go to Pisces or Bay or somewhere else. I'm curious to know, and I ask this in a positive frame, I'm looking for more good news because I think this is all good news. An incredible effort made by so many people to raise the funds and to secure the funding to get to a place where this can happen. What's the benefit to our students going forward? And I wonder who might be able to, among our senior staff or perhaps one of our guests, comment on the difference that can be made by having a good new rubberized track as it relates to benefits to students going forward.
Any takers, including those online?
Yeah, I guess, Kevin, it's Cal Russell. Hey, just having a new surface on the school will bring attention to that area. The students will run it during phys ed classes and also after school, there's track going on. North Sandwich brings their students to our facility to already use it because there's a throwing pit and a jumping pit. And so it's already used by the two schools. So it's a really usable space, but it'll also bring attention back to the school. Right now, the redoing of the field, we're hoping that our soccer games now will be on campus rather than walking over to Blue Herring. And it's just healthier for students to run on a track than the asphalt. I think if it's just asphalt, it won't be used. It's just, it's the same as running on the street, and you'd be better to run on the grass somewhere. And hopefully it'll just be a part of our community. I can see from my window, the community comes and uses the track and that area all the time. Some of it's dog walking, but often it's just people walking the track and utilizing it. So I think it's a really nice way for also the students to see the community exercising and, just maintaining their healthy lifestyle after they leave high school. So it's more than just what the kids see the kids using at school, but it's also them seeing how the community uses it. And they use it all the time. Lizanne and Aaron can vouch for that. They've sat in those desks too, and there is a stream of people going to use it, and it interacts and it brings our community together. So I think those are some of the benefits.
Thank you, Mr. Russell. Mr. Reed.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Russell. I would also add that I think it will be used by schools throughout the district. I do know that schools in our district at times have events using the track at UVic and perhaps elsewhere, but I know of events that have occurred for schools at UVic, and I think in the future having our own track in the district is going to be a better opportunity. And I also know that most of the youth, children and youth that engage in programs with Peninsula Track and Field are also our students as well.
Trustee Elder. Thank you. Is there any further comment or discussion on the motion, trustees? I'll then put the question on the motion. Are you clear on the motion? Does anyone need it repeated? All right, all in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. And let me take this opportunity before we consider adjournment of the public portion to thank Ms. Shikana, former principal of Parkland and Steely Reserve fundraiser committee head and advocate for this work for some 12 years. And I gather from what you said, Lizanne, that there has been a movement even before you were involved so centrally. So this has been a long process for so many people. And thank you on behalf of the board for your part of the leadership for this. Trustees, is there any objection to adjourning the public portion of the meeting at this time? Right, we're recessing. Thank you, Trustee McMurphy. Is there any objection to recessing the public portion of the meeting at this time before we consider going in camera? Hearing none.
Who's present for the meeting?
I haven't considered that yet. If we move in camera, it will be typically senior staff and trustees. All right, I'll declare a recess of the public portion of the meeting. Thank you, guests. Mr. Buck and Mr. Russell, if you take your leave, thank you for attending thus far. And Ms. Shikano has left as well. So we now move to item 4,